2016 sucked. Dead gorilla, dead celebrities, dumb man as a president, yada yada yada, forget it. Today I'm looking on the bright side of things, and I'm talking about my favorite films of 2016. There's still some movies that either look pretty good or movies that are getting Oscar nominations that I didn't get around to seeing, such as Patterson, Your Name, Swiss Army Man, Hunt for the Wilder People, Moonlight, Jackie, Manchester by the Sea, Fences, Lion, and Hidden Figures. And as always, I have honorable mentions too. Movies that just missed out on the list, or movies that I liked parts of and I just wanted to give them a shout out, such as Green Room, Deadpool, Don't Breathe, Captain America Civil War, Jungle Book, The Wailing, The Witch, Everybody Wants Some, Arrival, and Moana. So now that's out the way, here we go. Here's my top 10 movies of 2016. Number 10, Hardcore Henry. Okay, this is where I have to clarify that this is a list of my personal favorite movies, and not what's best on a technical level. Hardcore Henry is currently sitting on a Rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. And yeah, the story is whatever, but man is it an awesome movie. Filmed entirely in a first-person style, it's the closest I think we'll ever get to a movie feeling like a video game. It's a gimmick that really worked for me. The action looked amazing, the pace was just constant and non-stop. There's a pretty good eclectic soundtrack there. Sholto Copley is having a great time, and the villain, who kinda looked and sounded like Tommy Wiseau from The Room, is pretty good too. It's just an awesome, underrated movie in my opinion. Number 9, Zootopia. This movie is kinda like a better version of the movie 48 Hours. You know, the Nick Nolte, Eddie Murphy movie from the 80s. Seriously though, a criminal pairs up with a cop, and they're given 48 hours to solve a case. And both movies have strong themes of race and class and prejudices. Yeah, this Disney movie has a great message about race. And on top of that, you have some really funny gags, some good little jabs and references to other Disney movies. Some really memorable, likable characters, as well as excellent world building and character design. I was constantly just looking at characters in the background like, oh man, look at him, what's his deal, look how he looks. So good job, Disney. And speaking of Disney, number 8, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. I had relatively low expectations going into this. I mean, I didn't hate Force Awakens, but I was also pretty underwhelmed by it. But what I really liked about Rogue One was that it didn't try and follow the typical Star Wars structure. If anything, it kind of followed the tropes and structure of war movies. The action sequences are excellent. It ties in well with A New Hope. The last 40 minutes or so is just pretty much all amazing. You have that scene with Darth Vader that everybody loved. And I also want to defend the characters here a little bit. I mean, a common complaint I heard is that this movie has bad or uninteresting characters compared to The Force Awakens, which I really disagree with. Okay, Jin is kind of forgettable, but you got a blind badass played by Donnie Yen, who uses the Force in a way that's never really been explored before in the Star Wars universe. And then you have K2SO, who's a hilarious wisecracking droid, who ranks up as one of my all-time favorite Star Wars characters. When I heard that they're gonna be bringing out a new Star Wars movie every year for the next few years, I was kinda worried that we'd be oversaturated by Star Wars, and it would get repetitive like what's basically happened with Marvel. And that might still happen, but if the next few Star Wars movies and spin-offs and anthologies are as creative and interesting as this one, then we've got a lot of good Star Wars movies coming up. Number 7, Nocturnal Animals. This is a movie that works on 2 levels. You have this cool revenge noir style story within the story that has an insanely intense first act, with Aaron Taylor Johnson giving a stand-up performance. This Michael Shannon is killing it in an Oscar-nominated supporting role. But you also have the main story where Amy Adams is reading the other story that's written by her ex-boyfriend, and you also learn a lot about their relationship. And then the movie just ends kind of ambiguously, where you have to take what you've learned and figure out for yourself what the significance of the other story was, and apply it to Amy Adams. Nocturnal Animals is definitely open for interpretation and analysis, but it also works well on the surface level too. Number 6, Silence. I recently rewatched all of my previous top 10 lists, and I realized that since I've been making these, Scorsese's last 3 movies, Shutter Island, Hugo, and Wolf of Wall Street, have all made my lists. And with Silence, he's 4 for 4. This is a very bleak and moving film. There's some imagery there that's really upsetting. And it really got me thinking about faith and belief and morals. You know, is it okay to put your beliefs aside to do the right thing? You know, would God mind if you renounce him to save your own life? And then if you do that, then you get seen as a disgrace by other Christians, but that's better than dying, right? And I don't even believe in God, I'm not religious at all. But Silence really got me thinking about those kind of ideas. In addition, the cinematography is amazing, and all the performances are top-notch. It's just kind of criminal that this movie got shunned by the Oscars. Yet the other less good movie this year where Adam Garfield plays a religious person in Japan is up for Best Picture, Best Actor, and Best Director. I didn't hate Hacksaw Ridge, but Silence is more worthy for a nomination in those categories in my opinion. Number 5, Ethel Ernest. This is a lesser known movie. I don't even know if it's been released outside of England yet. But I really hope that it does eventually become more well known because it's really good. Beautiful animation style and great voice acting. It's a brilliantly well told slice of life true story adaptation of Raymond Briggs's book about two relatively unremarkable people doing kind of ordinary things. Yet it's completely compelling at the same time, and I felt really attached to these characters. It has an interesting depiction of World War II, as well as themes of social classes. It's not a kid's movie by any means, and when it wants to pack an emotional punch, it really does. It's the only movie this year that made me cry, so I gotta give a point for that too. Number 4, Kubo and the Two Strings. 2016 has been a pretty good year for animated movies. This is the third one on my list. Even Moana, which was in my honorable mentions, is one of my favorite scenes in any movie I've seen this year with that crab that song like David Bowie crossed with Tim Curry. That being said, Kubo and the Two Strings was my favorite animated film this year. I really loved the visuals and just the whole look to it, thanks to the stop-motion animation style. You got great voiceover work and cool characters. It kind of plays out as a Western take on the Japanese anime tropes. It's got quite a depressing, complex, and mature story for a family movie. The fight scenes are pretty awesome too. It's just really cool to see so many movies being able to balance the kid-friendly stuff with things that appeal for older audiences too. Because it really does get relatively dark and scary at times for a movie with a talking monkey. Number 3, 10 Cloverfield Lane. The best way to enjoy this movie is to forget that it's even got the word Cloverfield in the title. Pretend it's called like The Bunker or The Basement, or that movie that John Goodman is really awesome in. And who knows, maybe down the line J.J. Abrams will find a way to tie it into Cloverfield. But as of now we have a really awesome standalone intense thriller. There was a real Lost vibe kind of going on with its mystery, and the bunker was kind of like the hatch. I liked how little tidbits of John Goodman's character's life were teased without much exposition. It did well at taking ordinary things and making them creepy, like the song I Think We're Alone Now, or John Goodman's character shaving, or John Goodman calling somebody princess, or John Goodman playing a game where you have to describe Santa Claus, which by the way, how great was that scene? In case you haven't noticed yet, I loved John Goodman in this movie. He's the main reason this movie is so high up on my list. To be perfectly honest, the end to this movie kinda sucked, but John Goodman's awesomeness cancelled that out for me. He was creepy, he was hilarious, he was likable, then I hated him. It's probably my favorite performance in any movie this year. Number 2, Hell or High Water. Hell or High Water has elements of Heat as well as No Country for Old Men, and honestly it doesn't bring anything all that original to the table. But what this neo-western does bring is everything we love and want from crime thrillers and heist movies. I like that this movie actually presented an interesting reason as to why the characters are robbing banks. But what really made this movie stand out were the excellent characters and performances. Both sides of the law were fleshed out really well. You got Chris Ryan as a relatively nice guy who seemed reluctant about the robberies. And Ben Foster was his loose cannon wildcard brother who actually kind of seemed to enjoy the life of crime. And he was extremely entertaining. But then on the other side you got two Texas Rangers, Jeff Bridges and Gil Birmingham. I love the back and forth between these two characters. Jeff Bridges kept going on rants about random things and making racist comments. But as bad as it sounds, the racist jokes were actually pretty funny. I can't even decide who was the standout in this movie because Jeff Bridges and Ben Foster were equally amazing, and that's why this movie is so great. Number 1, The Handmaiden. I don't know what it is about those South Koreans, but they really know how to make a good thriller. Park Chan-wook, the guy who did Oldboy, knocked it out the park once again. It's a really unpredictable movie. Right when you think you know where it's heading, it just throws a curveball at you. There's like 15 different twists and turns. You're constantly forced to reevaluate what you think you know. I kept going back and forth about who I was rooting for, and then a new piece of information was revealed and it would change up again. There's a solid pro-women, anti-patriarchy message in there, but it's not too shoehorned or forced. The movie contains a romance that I was actually interested in, which is very rare for me. The characters are complex and well developed. The movie is a little cartoonish at times, but that kinda added to the fun for me. And if you're not already sold, then how about multiple graphic lesbian sex scenes with two smoking hot Asian chicks as the cherry on the top of an already great movie. So those are my top 10 movies of 2016, and thanks for watching.